They come with you when you go.
I need you to listen to me, please. Okay, there isn't much time. Now, this is gonna sound very, very strange, and you're not gonna believe me, and I wouldn't believe me either. Okay, and I wish there was more time to explain, but if you don't come with me right now, you're all going to die.
When I heard some of the rumors that From would be taking a break after this week's episode, I was a little disappointed. That's at least until the episode actually aired and we got probably the most reveals the series has ever given us. While we don't necessarily know what Fromville is, or how to necessarily escape, Jade does, but something we really got a clue into was how exactly things function in Fromville. And by the end of this video, I'll be breaking down on what I believe the monsters truly are and how they function. And it all starts with Fatima's mud golem that she's still working on. Kenny visits her to apologize for not taking her more seriously. He ponders how it feels to be connected to Smiley, and Fatima claims that she's worried one day she'll look out her window and see him once more. Either way, Kenny runs into Henry, who's acting very strange with alcohol. It's obvious that what he saw with his wife in the drawing really hit him hard. Later finding him completely blitzed and asking Victor to have some fun with him, giving a very drunken and belligerent performance on the keyboard. That is before he once again falls into despair and begs Victor to show them the picture of the man in yellow. And when Kenny and Victor bring Henry to bed, Victor finally shows Kenny. And with Kenny's relation to Sophia, we can only assume that there's going to be some big reveal where Kenny realizes who Sophia really is. On the other side of town, we had both Christy and Marielle helping to fix Sophia's arm, with Randall and Julie returning after failing their story-walking expedition. It's while Marielle's looking for supplies that she begins hallucinating being locked in those chains again. A bit later, we see Randall and Julie arguing about her risking her life and seizing so much, and Sophia hears their entire thing, before then eavesdropping on both Marielle and Christy's argument about whether Marielle is actually fine. Seeing all this bickering around Sophia that makes you wonder if she possesses some cosmic ability to just make people angrier or just more active just by being in their presence. Either way, it's as Marielle walks away that Sophia grabs her arm and Marielle is once again sent back into a hallucination about the chains. It's here Marielle finally explains what exactly she went through. Essentially, while she was trapped in there after the cicada attack, she was feeling the suffering of every single person who ever died in Fromville. She assumed after the first time that it was just the town trying to mess with her, and she tried to get over it and pretend those fears didn't exist. Only after feeling the chains around her wrists once more, which she could have easily slipped out of, she gets the feeling to return, and she knows for a fact that something is real here and it's ancient, feeding off of their suffering. Sophia claims that she could be a prophet, but Marielle believes that even when you die, you never get to truly leave this place. It's here we cut to the journey of both Jade and Boyd. I saw a lot of comments confused on why Jade wasn't tripping balls this episode, but honestly, it just takes a few hours to kick in. Jade beginning to see hallucinations with the motel sign outside the window offering answers instead of the usual nonsense. Suddenly seeing spiders crawl all over the window, very similar to what Boyd saw by the spider tree. And considering the many times we see spiders throughout this entire episode, I'm wondering if potentially these spiders actually exist and are crawling around the residence, they just aren't able to see them. There's been many instances throughout the show of things existing while not actually existing. Whether it be Fatima being pregnant and feeling it, but the baby not showing up on an ultrasound, or Sarah being in the ruins and knowing of the music box location, only where they're at, they can't technically see it. Either way, Jade and Boyd eventually make their way to the woods to look for answers, suddenly hearing a violin that was played by a 12-year-old version of Jade. Specifically, a memory from the day his grandma died and she wanted him to play a song for her. Could this be alluding to the fact that Jade's grandma somewhat knows of Fromville and was maybe trying to help him? Or potentially she just enjoyed the sound of his music. It's while he was playing as a child that he knew his grandma was already dead, but he didn't want to stop because then he would have to face the reality of her being gone. It's after this he ends up spotting the blood ritual guy. Boyd thinks since this isn't real and that guy's not actually there, he should just try drinking it. But the younger version of him warns Jade not to drink it. Either way, Jade does, and when he looks inside the skull, it's immediately filled with more spiders. The boy warns him once more that he shouldn't have drank that and that now he'll see things that he wouldn't want to see. Him then leading them away. Jade loses Boyd for a second despite him still being right there. That's when we finally see them stumble across the colony house and finding all of the violinists. That being the Civil War soldier, the boulder guy, the ritual guy, and Christopher, who we now see has a hole in the side of his neck and blood all over. While I originally thought this was a monster, Jade quickly pieces together that they're all him and notices none of them are torn apart, piecing together that they were all actually murdered. When wondering by who, he claims it's the minnows in a shark's net. For those that don't know, there's a few different ways you can try to catch a shark, but one of the more effective ways is to actually use minnows, as fishing for sharks is just a much longer process. With Jade piecing together that each iteration of his life was actually him being murdered by the people of town. The boy explaining that once the people know that the children were calling for Jade specifically, they turn against him. First blaming him, then hating him, and eventually deciding to kill him. And while currently we really only hear the children through Jade and Tabitha's perspective, it's possible at some point their existence will be revealed to the entire town. Now whether they were bothering the townsfolk, or maybe they revealed to the townsfolk that a past version of Jade and Tabitha had sacrificed them and caused all this, who knows? All we know is something about hearing the children makes the people hate Jade. And in regards to Tabitha, the boy says that she receives a much worse fate. It's then Jade begins freaking out and asking how he can stop all this from happening again, and the boy leads them down to the Acosta storage spot where she seemingly decided to take a break. The boy reveals that there's a hidden door behind all the clutter. Jade opens the door and it reveals a long, scary dungeon hallway, and also seeing a giant spider on the ceiling before losing Boyd once again. The hallway noticeably shrinking once he grabs the lantern, with Boyd later clarifying that they walked down it for a long time. With Boyd urging that they decide to leave the tunnels as it's not safe there, using the safe word Capricorn, yet Jade still decides to wander off yet again, running into the monsters who claim he should have listened to Boyd, but
you were never really the smart one, were you?
Dragging Jade into the same ritual circle and burying him alive, pushing a stone slab over him, and as it officially closes, he sees yet another Nkui kid, screaming before waking up back at the police station, and Boyd claiming that Jade never even left. He simply got up, looked out of the window, and sat down for several hours. But it did work. Jade is excited and now knows how they can actually leave and save the children. Which then leads us to the events of the settlement. Roger decides to open his big fat mouth for the first time this episode and immediately complain that Donna wants to bring them in. Donna claiming she only wants to do so they can know exactly what they're dealing with Ellis quietly agreeing, with Ethan burying the bird, assuming that he failed. Though I'm wondering if he buried it too early and he could have just left it out a little bit longer, or at least till right before they left in the morning. Either way, they bring the dolls to the shore and Donna cuts them open to make sure they're only full of stuffing, with the crew then piecing together that these type of dolls are very resemblant of scarecrows, meaning potentially they were in that lake for a reason, to presumably keep something more dangerous locked inside. They decide to be safe and stuff the dolls with rocks and send them back into the lake, with Tabitha getting small glimpses of her past. A bit later, we catch Tabitha staring at one of the wooden totems and Ethan wondering if they'll actually be safe, as he doesn't really want to leave Julie alone without a family. Donna reassures him, and it reminds him how much he's appreciative of Donna being around, as when she is, things are a lot less scary. Later on, it turns night and the crew try to get some sleep until they suddenly hear a child singing outside. This triggering a memory from Tabitha, who explains that the dolls used to be hers and they were much smaller before, until one day an angry man took them and claimed they gave him nightmares, so he threw them in the lake. And then one day, after he died, the nightmares came to life, leaving the lake and likely killing the whole settlement. Tabitha freaking out that they have no choice but to run right now despite it being night. Ellis explains that the talismans are there and they'll protect them, but for some reason the talismans don't protect shit. One of the puppets busts in the wall and begins grabbing at Roger. Now, to be fair, Ellis did try to help him out, but I think he quickly realized this was a lost cause, with Roger getting demolished by the puppet brutally, it breaking his jaw before shoving his arm down his throat. If you were to tell me, after the first episode of the series, that one of the most brutal deaths we would actually witness was someone getting deep-throated by a doll, I just wouldn't have believed you. Either way, they end up running around the settlement, with red shirt number 3 getting separated from the rest and getting her face shoved into a fire pit. That is until my boy Ellis comes in and saves her life, getting them all out of there. Well, that is until Donna almost bites the bullet with one of the puppets about to take her down. Thankfully, Tabitha remembers something and is able to stab the puppet with one of the totems we saw, claiming that she remembered how to stop them. And it's with this entire sequence that I believe From has finally established the rule set for how things exactly work here. We now know without a doubt that most of the strange things we see in town are actually nightmares of the dead. From the dolls being that man's nightmare to the cicadas being Nathan's that he dreamed of back in season 1. Then you have potentially the ballerina being the nightmare of someone else, and that song or melody, the dreams of 3, that Elgin and Bacta remembered. But now we know that these things can also be defeated. Potentially finding belief in things like the talismans or the totems are what allows people to fight back against the nightmares. But I honestly believe there's more to it than that. That being said, this could potentially mean that the golem Fatima is building and her belief that it makes her feel stronger will actually come to life and maybe combat some of these monsters or just other nightmares we see. As so far, all we know for sure is that seemingly the only thing to kill a nightmare is another nightmare. Think about it. The only time we saw one of the smiling monsters die was when we saw the nightmare cicadas going up against them. And with that being said, that finally gives us a big reveal of what the smiling monsters actually are altogether. And props to one of my commenters who did point this out on one of my recent videos. But essentially, we can finally conclude that the smiling monsters are nightmares. But the real question is, whose nightmare? Let's take a stroll back into the past and remember that Miranda had died to one of the smiling monsters already, indicating that they existed while Miranda was still in town. However, we also know that people struggle with their memories and misplace things sometimes, with Victor remembering the puppet rather than the boy in white. So who's to say that what actually killed Miranda wasn't just the man in yellow smiling at her before chasing her down? And we already know Victor came across the man in yellow eating the remains. But how does this exactly explain the other smiling monsters we see? Well, we know that after Miranda left, Eloise followed shortly after. And we also know that when they arrived to town, the man in yellow was really nice and joking and smiling all the time. Potentially, when Eloise ran after Miranda, she witnessed the man in yellow kill her and associated just the man in yellow with any of the other residents amongst the town. And when Eloise herself eventually died, her nightmares came to life, her believing that the residents of Fromville were actually violent monsters, thus making that nightmare a reality. And considering Miranda died at night, this would explain why the monsters only come out at night. This would explain why the monsters also come off as a bit of a lesser version of the man in yellow in his power set. And I bet you're asking yourself, but MudLuv, how does that explain why the smiling monsters turn into such a demonic form? Well, what did we see the puppets slightly turn into while they were attacking? It seems when a monster is brought back to life, it takes the form of something scarier right before it kills. Sure, this could be associated with the fact that it is a nightmare altogether, or potentially the energy bringing these nightmares to life all associate into one eldritch ancient being that Mariel referenced earlier. This ancient being, presumably being resemblant of what the monsters we see so far. There are drawings of strange and scary figures that we have yet to witness within the show. And while I feel like this is a pretty solid theory to explain why the monsters exactly exist and how they function, and how we could potentially fight back against them, it does leave me with a very big question. If every single time a person dies, their nightmares come to life, shouldn't there be a lot more nightmares running around? So far, we've only seen the monsters, the cicadas, the ballerina box, the puppets, and a few spiders here and there. But there is also the boy in white and the Nkui kids. But I believe From is saving some of these last little pieces of the puzzle to fully flesh out the story by the end of this season, potentially setting up a pretty exciting season 5. Either way, I really enjoyed this episode. I honestly thought Ellis or Donna were for sure gonna die, but I'm not really too disappointed that neither did because we just got so much revealed. Now I will be making a separate video just sort of explaining this nightmare system so I can have it on the channel and it's not part of an episode breakdown. But for now, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did because next week, we got nothing. That being said, next time you'll see me will likely be a live stream on Monday where I'll be with Scarlet Fever and we'll be in a roundtable of other creators who also love the show. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out Scarlet Fever's channel, and on Monday the 18th I'll be live streaming with everyone else. Otherwise, the next video I make will just be a more isolated version of this nightmare theory I pieced together at the end of this breakdown. Appreciate the support, appreciate the feedback, and honestly, Roger got what he deserved.
What's your name?
I'm Ellis. The day my family and I saw that tree, our lives changed forever. But the day that I saw you get out of that car, that's the day that my life really began. This is where I was standing the very first moment that I saw you. I don't even remember anymore who I was before you stepped out of that car. I don't want to find out who I am without you. When my mom died, you were the one that brought me back. You didn't even know me very well, but you knew that I was still in there, underneath all the dark, horrible shit that I was going through. I don't want to let this place be the thing that decides when we get to be happy. Let's get married.
Getting married?
We're getting married. Made it.
What, are you kidding me? You are my son. Mine. I love you. And I am proud of the man that you have become. And not a single day goes by where that hasn't been true.
But last night it got bad. Yeah, it got really bad. Yeah, I feel like the people that make it here, it's because there's a part of themselves that they hold on to. I feel like I saw a piece of her start to slip away. Dad, I don't know how to help her. You know, she's fucking falling apart right in front of me, and I don't know what to do. I can't do anything to help her.
It has to be you. You have to be that piece of her that this place can't take away. That's how we get through this.
If you don't get up and go after him right now, you're gonna regret it for the rest of your life.
What Mom did, it wasn't your fault. I'm sorry. Dad, I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. Whatever this is, we are stronger than this. Anywhere. I mean, we could be here, we could be there, we could be anywhere in the world, but it would not matter because you are my home. And I would really like to be yours.
I can't lose him.
Hey, look at me. He's not going anywhere, okay?
None of us get to stay forever.
I don't need forever, I never gave up on you. It's my turn now.
I love you.
I love you too.
I love you.
I love you too. I love you.
Please make me feel